And just like that, we're live. Hey, welcome to the JUSt TAi Morning News Show, episode 8 with your host, Captain Naga. Today's episode, I want to wish you a happy morning, evening, night, midnight special, whatever time this is coming at you. Take this energy now, we all in the same boat. We can start the conversation. Hey, guys, I hope y'all having a wonderful Wednesday this is, or whatever day in the future. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hope y'all did y'all stretches. Hope y'all got some yoga in. Hopefully y'all got some running, that jog. Hopefully y'all did that morning bike ride. Hopefully y'all ate some good breakfast. Hopefully y'all said hi and good morning to the person y'all love. Hi to the stranger while y'all walked past while y'all was on your way to work or school. This is whatever it is. I'm make sure you did what was on your mind, something that you knew would cause this day to be a little better than yesterday. And if you didn't, let's start now. This is the JUSt TAi Morning News Show. If y'all don't know, JUSt TAi is when you combine your heart with your mind and you keep them circles spinning. I'm going to keep saying that for the first couple episodes. So thank y'all. Make sure y'all check out the Instagram, the YouTube page where I go out in the forest and talk about my thoughts about trying to motivate myself and turn motivating anybody who dares to watch. So share and get motivated and get educated and learn about your self-worth. Hold on. 1 second. Yes, I will. Wow. Sorry for the intermission. I'm gonna have this all down packed. But for now, we just going at it. These are the raw episodes. These are the grassroots. Just starting out fresh, starting out strong. And for today's article, what I wanted to touch on was neuroplasticity and psilocybin, and how it's a lot of reports that people that ingest psilocybin, they say that they start thinking a lot more clearer, and also they feel smarter, and they feel as though they're able to grasp onto new concepts a lot more easier than they were in the past or just before the trip. That's how recent it can be. And then afterwards, they see that in their job or profession, like especially if you're in the creative fields, you start getting so much more creative as if you're a kid again. It's as if you just lucid drawing or lucid whatever, and it all comes together. Because to be an architect, in order to build these huge skyscrapers of buildings, and that person is able to beams and everything going to go. That takes a lot of brain power. That's just something I'm thinking about. Just tying. That takes a lot of not even brain power, a lot of heart, because you have to have an imagination out of this world. You got to have an imagination in order to build a skyscraper. It's a magical thing, man. I'm from Philadelphia, so I grew up around skyscrapers all the time. Now I'm in Cali in the mountains. I don't see them at all unless I'm on YouTube or some crap. Oh, let me fix this picture. It's about to fall. Whoop. There we go. Right on time. Guess what, guys? We're about to not have a picture. Hey, yo. This is hilarious. What the... All right. That should be working out, man. That should stay. For those who still sticking in, y'all the real tires. Thanks for still watching. Y'all the real ones, man. I'll be doing some giveaways soon. I'm gonna make some shirts. Well, forget what I was saying. We're gonna jump right into this article. And what I need to do is share this link with y'all guys so we can all follow along, be on the same page. It's not too long. It's not too long. Ooh, I was about to click in video. There we go. All right, this article is from ScienceDaily.com. So shout outs to you, Science Daily. Thank you for this article. It was published on June 12th, 2018. The source is the Cell Press. Oh, this is their source. The title of this is Psychedelic Drugs Promote Neuroplasticity in Rats and of this thing. We're just going to go in. We're not going to read the summary. Psychedelic drugs may have mind-altering powers in the physical sense, too. A new study. How are they just going to start off with two? A new study published June 12th in the journal Cell Reports found psychedelics, specifically DOI, never heard of that, DMT and LSD can change brain cells in rats and flies, making neurons more likely to branch out and connect with one another. The work supports the theory that psychedelics could help to fight depression, anxiety, addiction, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And y'all all know how the brain works. Let's just give a crash course on this. Like, you have neurons all running, connecting different parts of your brain, and they're connected like electricity, just jumping, connecting like a computer. You look at the circuit board, see all those chips, you see the lines going through. That's like your neurons and stuff. And neuroplasticity is being able to create new pathways or open up old pathways that were cut off. Because my theory, because I'm just an amateur scientist, is that as you get older, some of these channels start dying down or don't connect like they used to when you was a child, probably before puberty or before you're 18 or something around those grounds. But when you get grounded in what you're doing. Well, not grounded, you get robotic with what you do, habitual. You start saying, all right, this is who I am. I've created this person, and now I'm just going to be an adult and be old, but I have my set habits. I learned all the lessons that there is. I know there's going to be more, but all my foundation is already firm, man. I'm not changing because I know me. And that's what happens with a lot of teenagers and people in their 20s. And then by the time you're 30, there's no change in your mind. And with religion and with a lot of these old ideas, that's how they latch on, and it's killing us. Even ones that hurt us, they kill us because we choose to latch on. Neuroplasticity, we can get over this. Like, some people are depressed until they die. Some people have anxiety and have addiction problems until they die. Some people have PTSD until they die, and they don't live a good life here, a happy and joyful life. They live a miserable existence. So many people. And what they saying is that with neuroplasticity, it can literally create, like they can see this in the rats and flies. And let's keep reading. Just tying. We just tying, folks. All right. These are some of the most powerful compounds known to affect brain function. It's obvious to me that we should understand how they work, says Senior Author David E. Olson, Assistant Professor in the Department of Chemistry and the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Medicine at the University of California, Davis. The idea that depression stems from imbalanced brain chemistry remains popular, but recent studies have relieved evidence that depression manifests as structural changes in brain circuits or atrophy in parts of the brain. This doesn't mean neurons die off during depression, but then neurites retract. Neurites are the sections, either axons or dendrites of a we're gonna get this right, of a neuron that project out to bridge the gap between two neurons at the synapse to facilitate communication. All right, so the neurites are the sections of the neuron that project to bridge the gap between two neurons to facilitate communication. So that's what's happening. One of the hallmarks of depression is that the neurites in the prefrontal cortex, a key brain region that regulates emotion, mood, and anxiety, those neurites tend to shrivel up, says Olson. These brain changes also appear in cases of anxiety, addiction, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Oh, so I guess I was on a roll. I was kind of right. In their paper, Olson and colleagues tested psychedelics from the amphetamine, tryptamine, and arginine drug classes. In both test tube and animal experience, the psychedelics showed functional and structural changes like those promoted by ketamine and cortical neurons. Psychedelics increased both the density of dendritic spines and the density of synapses. Some psychedelics tested, including LSD, proved to be more potent and efficacious than ketamine in promoting neurite growth. Oh, infectious. The researchers did not do any human experience, but experiments in both vertebrates and invertebrates, spines and without spines, showed psychedelics produce similar effects across species. This indicates the biological mechanisms that respond to psychedelics have remained the same across eons of evolution, and that psychedelics will likely have the same brain growth, neuroplasticity effects in humans. Olson and colleagues also set out to test how psychedelics promote neuroplasticity, meaning they explore which biological pathways psychedelics activate that lead to neural growth. Ketamine's neuroplasticity effects were previously shown to be dependent on a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF. When the researchers blocked BDNF signaling, psychedelics lost their ability to promote neurite growth. BDNF binds to a receptor called TRKB that is part of a signaling pathway that includes mTOR, which is known to play a key role in the production of proteins necessary for the plays a key role in the production of proteins necessary for the formation of new synapses. When the researchers experimented by inhibiting mTOR, it also completely blocked the psychedelic's ability to promote neurite growth. Olson thinks identifying the signaling pathways at play in psychedelic brain changes will help future research identify compounds that could be developed into depression treatments. Two more paragraphs. This quote: if we fully understand the signaling pathways that lead to neuroplasticity, we might be able to target critical nodes along those pathways with drugs that are safer than ketamine or psychedelics. We'll see. Although most psychedelics are considered to be addictive, in the same way that cocaine is, they do produce hallucinations, which are needed. Olson doesn't expect psychedelics to become prescription drugs for depression, but a compound inspired by psychedelics very well could, he says. That's what you see them trying with the marijuana. They tried this with marijuana at first, where they made the Marinol and they made artificial THC and stuff. But then you see they just had to make the weed legal, and those compounds are now irrelevant unless you live in a state where it's still illegal. So that's what they gotta give to you. But man, we gotta move our bodies. There's a whole world out here. Move to a state that supports your health. Move to a state that supports your health and your mindset, or else you're just gonna feel trapped. Like, I felt trapped in a city. I could have made 1,000,000 songs off of being trapped in the city. It's still there. But instead of feeling like that all the time, I just got out. Or not just, but took a lot of work. Overall, I just got out. You do what you want to do in life. But thank you, Cell Press, for this article. Thank you, Science Daily, for uploading it. That was pretty cool. because that supports a lot with what we talk about here on JUSt TAi, well, on the PSY TAi morning show, that these chemicals, these plant medicines, are actually made to, for some reason, one or another, are here to promote our human evolution or assist us. Because what else out here can do this? And the thing about it, these plants been known for thousands of years. These plant medicines been known for thousands of years and used by many indigenous cultures in South America, in Australia, and in America. In Europe, they had the animated muscaria. Like, that's where fairies and all this stuff and dragons, like that's all true. It's all real. People just try to say it is metaphor, but the story that's told is metaphor. But I believe these people actually saw these things with their eyes, because they were on one kind of drug or another, or I don't know. Back then, they probably had different states of consciousness, and they were just able to see. They wasn't as blocked off and as material as we are. Like, but that's just me just tying, man. That's just my JUSt TAi thoughts. All right. Hey, real fast. This Colin Kaepernick. Get it right. It's Colin Kaepernick. News business that's going on. That's real wow and real cool though, that Nike decided to go with that logo of Colin Kaepernick and using, what's that slogan? I'm trying to look up that slogan now. Hold on. I mean, let me just type in slogan. They better not just say just do it. Oh my God. Yeah, but everybody's hating on it. People burning all they Nikes things. I don't know right now, but look it up. They but everybody burning their Nike things all because a person that standing up for people is making some money with a company and they supporting his message. So y'all going to burn. What's the point of burning in the first place? Well, I get it. Y'all trying to create the energy and create in the, whoa, there goes that picture. We're just going to do that without it. But man, hold on 1 second. I just thought of something. Let's see if that decides to play. Music wasn't playing. But hey, man, salute to you, Colin. Salute to you, Nike, for sticking by it. I'm looking at something now saying they just made $35 million. So I know they happy. But you got Trump and everything making, they made a bad move and stuff. Like, wow, I'm looking at people setting these shoes on fire. Trump says Nike stock is absolutely killed with anger. No. I just had to throw in my 2 cents about that, man. Colin Kaepernick is a cool guy. I don't know why he wants to wreck his brain playing football again, but we all got our ambitions. Gosh. All right. What's funny, guys, I downloaded the music, but since I'm live, it won't play. That's funny. But hey, man, y'all, people just wild and people wasting their energy, even thinking that, even people just wasting their energy, man. If we was just focused more on ourselves, y'all probably, they just not standing up for themselves at times. So when they see somebody else standing up for something, they want to, you can't do that. I'm not good at that, so you can't do that. Who you think you are, man? Like, yo, it's so wild. This is a wild and crazy world. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to the Side Time Morning Show. I really appreciate y'all. This is the grassroots. Like y'all see, they don't even have a picture no more. It's just us. Hold on 1 second. Miller's in the window. I mean, right there at your feet. Yeah, being a father is awesome. Being a father is awesome. More people need to be fathers. All right. For those that's here with me for the long haul, we got another article. We got another cool article. And this one is is from John Hopkins educational site. I'm going to put the link right here in the description. Cool. It's called a Crash Course in the Nature of Mind. John Hopkins Magazine. Roland Griffin's psilocybin experiments have produced striking evidence for therapeutic uses of hallucinogens. Like everybody doing the same study to come to doing different studies coming to similar conclusions. I'm reading all these articles. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought the music was gonna play. All right, we're gonna skim through this. This is by Julie Sharper, fall 2017. All right, Roland Griff's first tried First tried meditation as a grad student in the early 1970s. He lasted only a few weeks. He wanted to follow directions to quiet his mind and stop thinking, but every time the voice in his mind popped up again. 2 decades later, 2 decades passed before Griffin gave meditation another shot. Since that first try, he gave his doctorate and he finished his doctorate in psychology and pharmacology, became a professor at Johns Hopkins, and established himself as one of the foremost researchers on effects of caffeine on the brain. This time he tried Shada Yoga, a practice that builds on millennia of Hindu traditions. As Griffiths became accustomed to sitting in silent meditation, he explored a fantastically interesting process by which thoughts arise. Cool. This is all right. Interesting. We tend to believe, said Griffin, a tall, skinny, with a mop of wavy white hair, that we are the voice in our heads, and that voice reminds us to floss. That nurses grudges and hold spirited debates on whether to eat the cheesecake. There's an ongoing dialogue, and very often we think the dialogue is in the mind. But if you sit with the mind, you will realize the voice is saying all kinds of stuff. You may or may not agree with everything that it says. Yes. Beyond that voice lies something else Griffin believes. He describes it as a sense of clarity and wonder and observational power. As something else, call it consciousness or awareness, is what most fascinates Griffiths. I'm butchering his name. It hovers just beyond the bounds of modern science, not observable on any brain scan. Oh, wow. This is starting off pretty raw. Because my personal experience, if y'all with me following JUSt TAi on YouTube, y'all see, when I go out, I be thinking and coming to conclusions that Every thought that you have is not yours. There's a lot of thoughts that be like, man, like down thoughts, oh, you're ugly, oh, your face is twisted up, your eyebrows ain't straight, eyebrows ain't straight, something along the lines of something being messed up, or having a fear. I talk a lot about fear just being a 4-letter spell, and how you have to really practice and build yourself up so that you can break that spell every day, because being cast over your life, and it causes events to happen in ways that you wouldn't really choose to do, but it feels as though you're being just dragged along something, and things are just happening to you, and you don't really have that much control. We have control, but we're listening to the wrong voice, is what I'm just talking about. Mystics and meditators have pro-consciousness for millennia. For the last 17 years, scores of research volunteers in Griffith's lab have fallen into these states after taking psilocybin, the compound that gives certain mushrooms their magic. His experiments have shown startling results. Participants shake off persistent depression, quit smoking after decades of failed attempts at tobacco. And even in case of people facing life-threatening cancers, transcend the fear of death. Rising hopes that psilocybin might receive FDA approval as a treatment for some mental health conditions. Like, imagine you dying of cancer, dying of some life-threatening illness, and you know that your time is up in like a week or 2 or month 2. Imagine having a substance that lets you experience something so profound, so life changing in the end, that when you come back, you're like, wow, yeah, you like my life change, and you don't fear that impending doom. Why? Because you don't see it as an impending doom. In my view, in my experience, you see it now as just a transition. You see it as just, all right, this is just, I go play another video game. You're not so caught up in everything. And also, it relieves a lot of pressures that you had, like what we saw before. If you're not going through neuroplasticity, then you're still stuck how you was when you enter into puberty or 18 or early 20s. You're still in that mode if you like old now, like 30 and stuff. Even if you're 20s, you still stuck like how you was when you was a teenager, and if a lot of horrible things happen. JUSt TAi, JUSt TAi, JUSt TAi, JUSt TAi. And we get so lost in stories, this is what Griffith said, we get so lost in the stories of our lives that we sometimes forget what an incredible thing it is to be aware. Griffith says his pale blue eyes intense behind wire-rimmed glasses. He's sitting in his office in his behavioral biology research center, a bland brick structure on the Johns Hopkins Bayview campus. Wow, he got a view. I'm gonna skip all the decorations, describing how his room looks. All right. All right, here we're talking about some volunteers that he had. Participants swallow a capsule of psilocybin and plunge into hours of singular intensity, accompanied by specifically trained guides who monitor them and help them feel safe and nurtured. Griff says the volunteer report visions of lofty cathedrals and dense jungles and loved ones long dead. They have relived moments from their past as if unscrewing a series of jars containing forgotten days. The experience ripples through them in the miles and years to come. They report feeling more open and creative, more caring towards others, and aware of the interconnectedness of all life. And it if y'all ever talk to anyone that has done psychedelics, if y'all listen to me, y'all see that that's all that I'm trying to promote. And why? Because I had these experiences, not because I think that was my duty to, oh, I gotta be nice, I can't be bad, I gotta do. It's like, no, I had an experience, and then since that experience is like, this is what I'm just geared towards doing. Like anything else, I don't really feel that much energy, that much motivation to do. I love painting. Like, I got hobbies. I love painting, but I mean, like, other forms of, I don't know. Not gonna go too deep on that. I just cut off like that. Thank you, Tires. Thank you, Tires, for the love, man. But the interconnectedness, man, we're all one. We're all one, man. And you can put any philosophy behind that. You could put any poem behind that. You could put any painting behind that. The all meaning is just that we're all interconnectedness. I mean, I've read the word, we're all interconnected. And the way to feel that, the way to realize that, is if you be more caring towards another, not thinking things as being so different, but seeing a similarity in things. And the more you point out the similarity of things, you'll see that the differences that you used to think about and that you used to take on as a personality, you will see that it's not needed, and that it was ruining your life, and that it was just unnecessary, because we're all connected. And the similarities bring out more love and bring out things and more motivation and more inspiration to be creative in things than being angry. But on the other side, not to be biased, angry does bring about things, but where it is, you still stay in track. You don't know how it is to be upset, man. Feels good to convert that energy. Yeah. All right, let's go back. I'm trying to find where I was at. There are also the gifts of meditation, says Griffiths, who continues to meditate for as long as 2 hours each day. Meditation enables you to shift your identity, to reshape your sense of self. For him, that has meant letting go of focusing on material accomplishments and professional recognition. A former confirmation class dropout, he has developed a sense of spirituality. After decades spent examining the various effects of substances such as caffeine on the brain, now he wants to delve into the questions of consciousness that most interest him. That's good for him. Psilocybin offers a sort of crash course in the nature of the mind, Griffith says. Literally a crash course, because it can go off the rails without the proper preparation, environment, or companions. A person is at more risk to have a bad trip or be overwhelmed by fear or negative emotions. But under the right conditions, psilocybin has the power to change lives. I'm trained as a scientist, and I think science is really powerful, says Griffith. But I also sit with the absolute wonder of not knowing exactly what's going on and wanting to explore that. And I believe that is a real scientist. That is a scientist. That's why I consider myself a scientist. I'm always researching, and when I was in school, I always wanted to really go to school to be an astrophysicist. I'm a theoretical physicist at first, and then I'm a theoretical astrophysicist. That's what it was. I wanted to be a theoretical astrophysicist. I wanted to study the stars. And I didn't really want to be an experimental one doing experiments. I wanted to work with the math and think concepts into existence, because that's where my brain was as a child and in school and things. So this is all the same thing: space, hyperspace, other dimensions, the mind. It's all one. Mind, body, and soul is all one. And that's what was really driving me away from astrophysics back then. And I wish I knew what I did now. But it's all good, because I could still probably go back and do what I got to do to build up that knowledge base of physics. But what I mean is, I drift away because I saw that I I didn't see that much spirit in it. I didn't see that much love in it. I was like being driven away from science and stuff. I was going through a lot back then, and I made the decision to be like, I don't want to do any of this anymore. I'm out, and I just left. That's a whole nother. That's a whole podcast. That's a story in and of itself. I say that a lot, don't I? All right, I'm reading to see what else he got. Oh, he actually has a book, his encyclopedic book, Shroom, A Cultural History of the Magic Mushroom. Oh, that's cool. I gotta check that book out. Andy describes how mind-altering mushrooms first captured the imagination of Europeans in the 18th century when explorers described encounters with Siberian tribespeople who became intoxicated after eating the fly Arctic mushroom. With their cherry red caps and white spots, this particular fungus became an enduring cultural trope. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Europeans, they got the enemy to Mascaria. That's where the fairies and all dragon tales come from. The preferred, I was actually watching Dragon Tales, the show, the cartoon. Shout out to all y'all 90 babies. The preferred seat of garden gnomes and children's book fairies. Wait, Coach out. The preferred seat of garden gnomes and children's book fairies. Yeah, I just gotta read, guys. I like talking. It asks to draw. If asked to draw a mushroom, many of us will likely draw a fly Ardric, although few have seen a real one. The Mario mushroom, the red one, that's how fly Ardric look. All right, we go into some history about the Aztecs and how, yeah, when the Roman Catholic Church arrived in Mexico, they saw the use of mushrooms as a form of idolatry. So for the following 4th century, the use of psilocybin in Mexico was driven underground. And that was coming back up, psychedelic renaissance. But no, for YouTube, for anybody, we do not condone the use of legal or legal drugs in any way. Your body is your body. It's your temple. We just doing research. I'm talking about my past experiences. I'm a scientist. Shout out to the guy for making that up. Shout out to the fan. All right, yeah, they're talking about history. Maria Sabina. I don't know, Maria Sabina was the healer and used nuts mushrooms to produce visions in which she could determine the nature of a person's illness and cure. Watson described this experience in the breathless 1957 Life magazine article. Here I was, posed in space, a disembodied eye, invisible, incorporeal, seeing but not seen, Wilson wrote. The visions were sharply focused, and the lines and colors being so sharp that they seemed more real to me than anything I have ever seen with my own eyes. I felt I was now seeing plain, whereas ordinary vision gives us an imperfect view. I was seeing the archetypes, the platonic ideas that underlie the imperfect images of everyday life. And I'm going to throw this in there. If y'all went to college or if y'all studied philosophy, y'all all know about Plato in the cave analogy. Okay, I'll turn it on for.
They can turn into humans or undersea mermaids because they flaming and they can have from the 2 sizes, but then when they dive in, they don't have one because they just dive in, they turn into mermaids.
Yep, that's what they do. Hey, y'all give me 1 second, guys. This one?
No. This one, not it with the sisters diving in the water when they turn into
Which one? I gotta hurry up. I'm trying. This one?
No.
Alright, that's all the mermaid ones, baby. You guys are.
Oh, I saw it.
This one?
No.
This one? Ah. There you go. This ain't no. Oh gosh. My daughter is hilarious. She's sweet. But I know where I left off at. I was talking about Plato in the cave and the ethnology. And this is something that we all had to study. I didn't have to study. I looked it up my own, but I know some people that had to go to school and they had studied this in philosophy. One of the first things you really run across. And what I was thinking was psychedelic experience and the cave analogy, and how a lot of us say the other side is more real than real, and how here is just the imperfection, and how he will say that we're just looking at the shadows, but the shadows is being cast by somebody walking past the fire, and that's the real world. But we spend our whole life looking at the shadow until we brave enough to walk out of the cave and see that the shadow was just a trickle down of the reality of what was really going on. And we based our whole life, our whole upbringing on something false, on something, on a shadow, something so dark. We based our whole life off of darkness this whole time. Instead of knowing, being closer to the light. Because past the fire, past the person walking is the fire, and that is the source, which I believe animates the person walking. Or else that person can't be seen either. I'm just tying. I'm just following this rabbit hole. Yes. All right. Let's keep going. All right, we're going to skip past this. They talking about populations, clergy, worried, parents concerned. A threat to traditional values. In October 1970, Richard Nixon, cartel researcher who lived for 2 decades, when he signed the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act, outlawing psilocybin, LSD, and other hallucinogens. What was that called? So we know tires. It was called the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act. So they wanted to prevent abuse. Not that the studies weren't coming up with good results, but the government outlawed it by saying that it had so much high potential for abuse, which is true. But that just all comes with shaping our laws and shaping our governments and adapting to this new thing coming up, letting scientists do their studies, letting the therapists conduct these studies, and so that it can be used properly and responsibly and not just burned. Like they used to burn books, guys. They used to burn books. Like the government is wild, man. Control people that want control and have control over people. They be wilding. They be wilding for real. That did not deter some prominent scholars Nicholas from their interest in the compounds. In 1993, Nicholas founded the Heifer Research Institute to advocate and provide funding for psilocybin research. I thought it would be really useful to go back and study this class of drugs and see if they had any value or not, Nicholas says. Of course, scientists have always been interested because these drugs have had such fundamental effects on the human mind. But the problem with the funding, with some of the institutions was defined in some institutions. Meanwhile, in California, a software engineer organized a separate push to expand the understanding of what he calls entheogens, or chemicals that help people experience the divine. As I understood it, as awakening in the divine within. He moved to the Bay Area after graduating from Johns Hopkins. Shout out to the Bay. He discovered that in many tech industries, yeah, we know that, they're using hallucinogens. Check out some previous episodes of PSY TAi where we talk about them using Silicon Valley, and this lady was talking to this high-tech lady that had to change her name. Check it out. Yeah, this is mostly talking about his lifestyle. Saying Griff was skeptical, although he had come to age 19, he was never identified the hippie movement. He had been reading books on comparative religion and the psychology of religion, trying to comprehend his own experience while meditating. Perhaps these drugs could provide some insights in the lab. There were risks to his career. Griff recalls mentioning the possibility of launching such a study to a working group of other professors in the department. Such nodded with interest, but others looked aghast. Still, Griff drew up a protocol and sent it off for review, wondering if there was any chance that it will be approved. It was. And then there was the question of funding, which remains a struggle for research in hallucinogens. Griff secured some support from NIDA, but just as non-profit, the Council on Spiritual Practices covered much of the expense. Launched his first study in the 2000s. I'll see about the study. There we go. Yeah, here go the juicy part. In the first study, 36 healthy, normal volunteers who had never taken a hallucinogen before, awesome soldiers, before ingested either psilocybin or Ritalin in a series of 3 sessions. Each participant took psilocybin at least once. Thank y'all for letting them get the chance and not just getting a placebo. Y'all know how I feel about the placebo people, man. I'm sorry for them. It was a double-blind experiment, so neither the volunteer nor the guides knew which drug he had taken. Since the Ritalin produces psychological effects, a sense of well-being, and a rush of energy, it is useful for masking who were the control subjects. Results of the study were striking. 2 months after the sessions, the majority of those who had taken psilocybin reported feeling better about themselves and about life, being more altruistic and having an overall improved mood. Nearly 2/3 said that the session was one of the most meaningful experiences of their lives, raking with the birth of a child or the death of a parent, and a third said it was the single most spiritually significant thing that had ever happened to them. That was hugely impressive to me, says Griff. What was going on here? He asked. Yes. It's like you gave birth 10 times, or infinite times in many people cases. And it's not to say that the birth or that your child doesn't mean anything, but is you only experience that once. You only experience your daughter being born once. But these chemicals or plant medicines, you can experience it again and experience it more without that fear. Because even though your baby being born, you still have some fear going on where you was like, oh, something bad happened and blah, blah, blah. But maybe being in that realm and not having that fear. I don't know. I'm just telling you. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Let's keep on breathing. So he pursued answers. Since that first study, Griff has dozens of studies on psilocybin and several more on other hallucinogens. One found that 80% of chronic smokers managed to keep the habit after a combination of psilocybin and cognitive behavioral therapy. Another showed that taking psilocybin correlated with increased openness and a psychological trait associated with creativity and appreciation of the arts for at least a year. Last year, Griffiths and a team from the New York University School of Medicine published the data from 2 on people facing life-threatening cancer after receiving a single dose of psilocybin in tandem with counseling. 80% of participants reported feeling their depression and anxiety recede. The results were not fleeting. 6 months later, the majority still had improved moods despite their health problems. Many reported feeling as if the psilocybin sessions had erased their fear of death. To see a person have an incredibly meaningful, meaning-making, and spiritual experience that changes how they view death, that recalibrates neuroplasticity, how they die. It's hard to describe. Anthony Boses, a psychologist who worked on the New York study, or the NYU study. Man, this is all amazing studies, and it's all, I can vouch for a lot of personal experience. My past experience with psilocybin mushrooms and with LSD has opened me up to expressing myself to family members, expressing myself more as I do in my head. Because we all have this picture in our head of how we are, but all we do is keep it in our head. Imagine if you was crazy enough. Imagine if your walls were broken down enough. Imagine if you was to be able to forgive all the ones that ever hurt you and forgive yourself as well for feeling hurt and for anything that you done as well. Imagine feeling like that. Imagine feeling so blissful. Imagine feeling like, all right, I'm happy. I'm just happy. And you don't even have to say it. You just want to just smile at yourself in the mirror, or you just want to go out and smile at the world. Imagine just feeling that kind of energy. And most people say, oh man, it's just a drug and you just dazed out. But when you don't, a lot of people that take these drugs, they don't achieve those states. It comes with meditating, and it comes with appreciation. It comes with your own will to push yourself to be more than who you are, and to push yourself to these forbidden realms where you go and you cleanse yourself and you see who you really are. And you see the programs that's been placed on you by people being discouraged at you, by people being disappointed in what you or what you said, or people having their own crazy lives and implementing that on you growing up. So now, without you even realizing until this moment, it's not you, and that you're somebody else entirely. A lot of people I've seen don't like the word waken. Yeah, it don't matter what people don't like. It matters what you like. It matters what you like, bros. It's tires. I didn't you, and it'll change your life. I'm trying to see where I was at. Yeah, look, he got something. Oh, Martin talking about something similar in this John Hopkins magazine article that we read straight from the educational site, link in the description. Martin says he has grown to be more emotionally available to his family. He ruminates on the moment when his counselor put his arm around him on the couch, reassuring him simply with his presence. He has reached the conclusion that presence, just being there for someone, is even more important than empathy, and this guides his interactions with his relatives and friends. He talks to his adult daughter and texts frequently and visits her with no particular goal other than sharing time together. His father died from Alzheimer's a few years ago. But before that, Martin learned to let all expectations fall away from their interactions. Your expectations, when you expect stuff, you create it. It happens in your reality. Watch what you thinking. That's why we just tie, because when you really just tie, you Persian. You letting out all the good, all the bad, whatever. You're not putting no labels on it. You're just talking. And then you can see what you don't want to do anymore and see what you want to do anymore because you let it all out. You let it all out. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, that's all you got to be with yourself. References. When his dad didn't wait, yeah. Let me read that again because this other sentence connects to it. But for that, Martin learned to let all expectations fall away from interactions. When his dad didn't respond to him, Martin wouldn't be sad or angry. Instead, he would drive his father through the countryside, stopping to gaze at deer or eat ice cream. With the pressure going, his dad brightened up and became more animated. He says, in a paradoxical way, our relationship in the final years was deeper and more meaningful than it had ever been. Now, this is his old dad saying in the last years, because he had the psilocybin experience, he was able to interact with his dad differently. And not just interact on the outside, interact on the inside within himself. And once he saw that on the inside, wait, what's that? And once he did that on the inside, he was able to really not feel the feeling. Instead of saying, oh, I got to block this feeling from coming up, that feeling dissipated from his essence, so to speak. That's the best way I can put it right now, because that's how I feel. And so I was described it as second thought in my first LSD trip. I described it as I always have like a first thought, or dang, I'm confused right now. Or second, I don't know. It was something as every time I would try to even think about a bad thought or think of something in a bad way, I feel a pulse in my head. And I didn't want to feel that pulse anymore. So I didn't think about things in that way. And then it probably was my brain literally changing, like the neuroplasticity. I'm just dying. But I literally felt that every time I would feel something sad or angry, it was like pulling. I don't want to feel like that no more. So I would just think it differently in another world, like another way, see it in another light. And now that I know in my normal life, when I see that I'm thinking a certain way, I try to say, oh, that's the thought that's going on. That's another realm that I don't want to bring about. Another shade, and I want to bring about another shade. Yeah. I'm starting to ramble again. When his dad didn't respond to him, but it all ties together. Ties. Just think about it. In my own life, I see it. That's what I went through. In my own life, I do see that you have to be nice. You just have to be nice. That's why and there's different ways to be nice. There's different ways because you have to start with yourself. And that's what the JUSt TAi on the YouTube is a lot about too, is ways that I found to be more nice with myself and me talking out problems and such and such. It really is paradoxical because you think that you need to control it, think that you need to control situations, but you really don't. Kind of let it go. All right. I'm going to skip to the end. Wait, this is say the big question. That's what he says. The big question, and perhaps this is beyond the realm of science. Yes, it is. But science is soon incorporating because they talk about the fourth and the eighth dimensions. These are where these dimensions are. I'm going to talk about that another time. Leave something in the comments so I remember. And perhaps this is beyond the realm of science, is what do these experiences mean? Are people really tapping into a deeper reality? There is no question they feel like they are, Griff says. It goes beyond anything I have ready explanation for philosophically or scientifically. So does he believe in God? Griff stammers. I don't even know how to answer that question, he says. I've become comfortable with God as a placeholder for the benevolent mystery for which there are no words. And I think that's what people must mean by God. Yes. Yeah. Taking psilocybin themselves, Griffs won't say. They have. He said, what can I say? What I can say is I'm familiar with different states of consciousness, he says. I have a deep empathy for people in different states of consciousness. And if we see from the other this other JUSt TAi show, a lot of these people that are up there will not admit to psychedelic use because of the stigmatism that started in the 50s and been growing for the past 50, 40 years. It kept growing and never stopped. So the stigmatism on psychedelics is so strong, it's so compact that it will take a lot of things like me doing this JUSt TAi show, the John Hopkins doing the studies, people at other hospitals doing studies. Shout outs to MAPS, the multidisciplinary disciplinary for psychedelic research, something like that. It's going to take people to still do work in order to break the stigmatism and to speak up and tell their stories, or else it's just going to be drowned out. But I don't think it's going to be drowned out. Y'all just need to look around. This is people waking up, or else I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. I'm just another piece in the puzzle, along with everybody else. All right. I'm gonna just go to the end. In a drawer in his desk, Grist keeps a stash of medallions he made to give to voluntary visitors. One side, marked meditation, is embezzled with these words by the mystic poet William Blake. The true method of knowledge is experiment. The other side shows a cluster of psilocybin mushrooms, a symbol, he says, that meditation and the psilocybin represent two sides of the same coin. Under the mushrooms is printed Griffin's own blessings. May you remain aware of awareness. Ha! Thank you, Julie Scarper. That was awesome. I had fun. This was fun. This was about the longest one so far, about an hour. Thanks for tuning in, all y'all future people. I love y'all. Please be sure to share this or not. Just show me that y'all appreciate it or something by giving an article that you want me to look up next time, or if you have any questions or concerns or anything, just send them my way. Just send them this way. JUSt TAi, just think about it. Hey, Rome, I was just signing off. I covered a lot of material. But if you got anything, I can make this keep going. There's no time limit. There's no real time. Time don't exist. But for y'all in the future, again, thank y'all for watching. And thanks for tuning in. This is Captain Naka asking you, we all tie. Do we really tie? Sometimes I don't know, dude. Sometimes I don't know. Until next time, it's Captain Naga asking you to support the Patreon. Check us out. And just chill out. Do your research. Adios. Bye. I'm out. Have a nice day. Peace.